I've got a special match for you today. Lau and I have been playing decks that have been juiced up with a ton of exciting cards that were revealed recently. I'm on one of my favorite heroes, Teija Nauraa. I'll try and stick various cheap plant characters and build advantage as they grow. Then we can hopefully finish out the game with Hydrocane's eternal presence. Lau's on a favorite hero of his too, with Waru Mack. He'll be sleeping annoying characters like Robin Hood that have effects that limit our plays. If he gets his way, he'll also prevent our key on-play effects like anchoring with the newly spoiled council card. If you like seeing our crazy matches, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. Now let the exploration begin. Let's jump into the game. We've got a lot of options here. Yongsu is pretty good. If our opponent plays anything weak, we could use it to get 4 worth of stats and try and get ahead in expeditions, but at this point I think that most important to me is just keeping this tiny Jin to ramp into Hydrocana. I haven't drawn the Hydrocana in a lot of my matchups, so I don't really feel like I can afford to put it into the mana. At this point too, the only option besides keeping the Sneaser Shroom, if I want to use that like ramp into Hydrocana line, is I could have kept the Moon a Caregiver to play alongside Tiny Jin and try and take both expeditions. That would have been great in the short run, especially here since we see that our opponent just sleeps a Bureaucrat to set up. But I feel like in the long run I'd be short on resources, and I'd rather just have plants like this Sneaser Shroom that we held on to be able to just like accelerate our normal game plan and use them as we lead up to our Hydrocana. So I think we're fine. We could have maybe gotten a double advance, but still happy here to get the lead and now have like a little bit more resources to work with. You may also notice I chose to play to the left. That's because now that the council's there, I know that on the following day I'm going to want to be putting my cards on the right, and so I wanted to get that left advance early so that today I could still be in all region types as I'm making my plays. At this point I drew into another anchored plant, which is really good to play alongside Sneaser Shroom with 5 mana, but against Waru Mack, I'm pretty afraid of Robin Hood, so I decided here that I wanted to just play my Sneaser Shroom on the first play and then only keep a 2 mana card in case our opponent has the Robin Hood, which is the case, and this works out fine because even though we're not playing 2 anchored plants, we're essentially still going to bank all of our resources for the next day since we're going to be putting these boosts onto a character that has anchored. The council I feel like is especially good against Muna. There really are a lot of characters that have play from hand and reserve effects. Everything that gives anchored or boosts has those, and even like Daughter of Yggdrasil and Kitsune, they have the play from hand effect to draw, and so you're going to lose out on that. Sometimes though I think that can almost be a good thing though, because you also won't be giving your opponent a draw. But yeah, it really shuts down a lot of our decks, so just about as scary as Robin Hood, honestly. I could have kept the daughter here to just play a really strong character and push both expeditions, but going into our Hydrocana turn on the next day, I wanted to set up another anchored plant so that I could have the tough value be higher for it. Looking at this, their Robin Hood is awake this day, meaning it's going to be going to the reserve, and so when we're first on the next turn, hopefully, unless they played like second Robin Hood, we'll be able to play the Hydrocana for 7. And now seeing this, I won't even try and push the left side because I won't gain anchored on my plant, but since we have an expedition lead, I don't really need to worry about trying to like fight to get ahead here. I just play my card to the right so that I'll still have an anchored character next day with Hydrocana. As long as I stick that, I'll basically win the game, and even if they have removal at this point, since we have the Dracana sticking around the little one, we'll probably be taking an expedition and trading at that point anyway and maintaining our lead, so it's pretty much like win-win whatever happens on the following day now. The Sneaser Shroom in the reserve is pretty nice too. We're going to be able to buff that up again with physical training if we want. Now drawing the second copy and a sleep, trying to figure out what to put in the mana here. I found that sleep is actually pretty bad against Waru and Mack because their characters usually have those annoying effects, and they almost want to sleep them to stick them around. So yeah, I haven't really enjoyed using sleep in this matchup, and just throwing that in the mana again here. Because of our opponent using the charge on the previous day, they already have 5 worth of stats on the left. We just play our Hydrocana to the right. I don't think there's any way we can contest them there. Also, it would just be a 0-0-0 if we put it on the left, since it won't gain his play from hand effect. So definitely wanting to go to the right here. We just trade expeditions, and our opponent uses this opportunity to play a monolith and get some advantage of their own on the board. So I don't think that's quite as strong as our Hydra, but definitely something to help them stay in this fight. Look at all those counters. We're already going to have a 999 on the right side. If our opponent doesn't get something like Sticky Note Seals, there's no way they'll ever be able to deal with this. Here I get rid of my physical training. I already have a 2-cost one in hand, and I just want to kind of put more of these plants out. If we can have an Eternal Hydrocana sticking around as well as multiple plants, it's going to be almost impossible for our opponent to stop us on the next day. The council is really good here because we've already basically won on the right side, on the companion side, and so now our opponent knows the only place we're going to want to play our characters is on the left. And honestly here, shutting down all of our anchored effects is much stronger than playing out the Robin Hood at this point, and they can still choose to play the Robin Hood afterwards. Luckily though for me, I purposely kept this Aja in hand, knowing that the council was an option that our opponent could have, and so now we have this really strong beat stick. It's just a 5/6/5 anyway, and at that point we're not like sad at all that neither of us are getting the extra mana with how much mana both of us have. Looking at this, our opponent, the only relevant stat is water, and we're also in water, and so yeah, this mechanic is pretty good for them, being able to get them like pretty strong stats while also saving a lot of their mana for maybe a strong 3-cost card. Right now I know that we're 2 behind in water, which is like the relevant region type, and if I use physical training I would get ahead, but at that point when our opponent plays charge, they'll be winning, and so I feel like here I can use my Dracana to get a similar result where if our opponent wants to win that expedition, they still have to commit the charge, but it also lets me hold on to physical training for later, which I feel like is a stronger resource, being able to get like 3 boosts on a future turn for just 2 mana. And it worked out perfectly. They didn't play a card from hand, which was like another option, but we were able to like force out that charge, which is not going to be something we have to worry about now moving forward. And yeah, we're able to also use a card from the reserve, meaning we won't have to discard a card this evening. And our Hydrocane is still growing. Look at that. We're going to be at 13 in all regions on the right now. Our opponents, yeah, never going to be able to take that back from us. At this point, our companion and hero are just 2 movements away from meeting up, while our opponent still has to get 3 movements. So it honestly seems impossible. Even if they beat us on the left side, on the hero side every time, we'll be trading expeditions. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be tough for them. Maybe something like a Sticky Note Seals, as well as just like really strong characters could pull it off. But with how much mana we have, we're feeling pretty good. We also have Aja and Daughter of Yggdrasil here, which both have incredible stats for their cost, and we have plenty of mana too, where even if like our opponent leads out with a Robin Hood, we'll still be able to make all of our plays. Here, since I'm first, we can avoid the Robin Hood for like the first card we play and only have to tap 2 mana. And looking at this now, we have 4 plus 3, gonna be able to still use our Daughter of Yggdrasil and physical training here. I kind of calculated that out and realized there wasn't going to be a way to fit Aja into our plays. I could have played Aja instead of Sneezer Shroom and physical training, but I feel like getting that anchored character is going to be a little stronger, and the stats are pretty close at that point. We only lose out in Mountain, but we're not in Mountain anyway, so it didn't matter. Here you see a little bit of the back and forth. They're able to get to 8 in water and 7 in forest, which are the 2 regions we're trying to move forward in, but with this buff we're going to be ahead by 3. Our opponent just moves our markers for us. They know that they don't have any cards in hand. Yeah, it looks like they had a Robin Hood and another council, so some pretty annoying bureaucrats, but not what they needed there to be able to block us. We got an early lead, and sticking the Hydrocana was the final nail in the coffin. What do you think it would have taken for our opponent to keep up? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe to support the channel and see more altered gameplay.